the summer of 2025, the hierarchy on the other planes of existence where they watch us, were going to come down and take a look at us and decide whether we were going to make it or not. There is an intelligence that's guiding the stars. The astrology chart discerns the karma, the lessons, the personality type, the promise you've made. I call astrology Windex for the left brain. Saturn comes with harsh, it's Saturn return, it doesn't really give you an invitation, it screams. The rising sign is hovering, it's not a planet, it's an essence of your soul that you've got to get acquainted to fulfill your purpose. So they work in tandem. There is two phases. One is the absolute things written in the stars, and the other is the free will written in your heart. We're in a turning point with the Kali Yuga, where we're just about to come around a corner and the lights will be out. All the prophecy talked about, there's a miracle that we can't see, that we don't know what's going to happen. The most important thing in the whole wide world, how could I forget? I can see in the future.
You've got this astrology and psychology background. Can you tell us a little bit around Carl Jung being an astrologer? That was news to me.
Yeah, it was kept a secret. He was quoted to say psychology would be a dinosaur science until it included astrology. So he had to keep it a secret because it was always put in the back rooms, and this is one of the handicaps of astrologers up till now. Now it's really gone viral, it's all over the world, but there were secrets and it was self-conscious, and telling people I was an astrologer, I always left that out. When people would say, what do? I'd say, I'm a psychotherapist with astrology, but I couldn't lead with astrology because immediately I was one of those funny people that people thought was fake or charlatan or parlor tricks or woo-woo. That's what it was, woo-woo. So now, only now, the Carl Jung factor was, he was a master of making, his quote was, how do we make the unconscious conscious? How do we recognize the parts of our personality traits, the way we behave, the humor system, and name it with words that make the unconscious, the Sagittarius influence, into awareness, and then you cultivate it. So his whole thing was, anything left in the dark, that's left underneath the system, that doesn't have language for, it will come get you, because the unconscious is the primary influence of this existence. Right now, your whole body's on an automatic nervous system. The liver, the kidneys, the bladder, the brain, the blood, the heart, everybody's doing it without a single thought. So most of our existence is operating at an unconscious level. That's the truth. When the conscious mind comes into the picture and we start to study and we become awake, another word for that, we start to make conscious choices outside of the programming that we came with. That's what Carl Jung would call the pursuit of making the unconscious conscious in the name of creating a healthy human being. And he had shadows. I don't know if you know his work, but he dealt all the time in the dark unconscious. He was captivated by dream time. And what is dream time if not the language of the unconscious? No one knows what dreams mean. They're the weirdest things. You fly, you take off your clothes, you end up not knowing where you are, you make new friends in another culture. I mean, it's crazy what happens in dream time. And Carl Jung used that material, the unconscious content, to bring it up to the surface and then turn the lights on and hello astrology, turning on the lights in the dark.
Yeah, it's really interesting because even in Vedic culture, they call astrology Jyotish, and Jyotish literally means science of light. So like you said, turning on the lights to the dark. It's really fascinating just watching. And also back to one of the points you said, like, because you mentioned like just in your body, but each of the planets kind of has this. Well, I learned because I went through level 3 and Debra Silverman School
level
of Astrology.
1, 2, and 3.
Thank you so much. It's been such a incredible ride. Like, my goodness. And we could talk. We're going to talk a lot about that. But even one of the things I learned through the work was the different parts of the body that the different planets actually rule and govern. That was fascinating because you've got these celestial bodies out there having influences, but then also like they're impacting your body in certain ways as well.
It's true. There is such a body of knowledge that was brought to us by time immemorial, the oldest science on earth. And yet, once again, the unconscious mind hasn't caught up to the masterful intelligence that brought to us a system. So that's why everyone listening to podcasts and studying the chakras and studying gene keys and interested in the Enneagram and studying about human design, because we're suddenly going, wait a minute, I need some free will here. Like, tell me what I'm doing and why I do what I do. What a great question. And what is the mothership of all those systems? They're all based on astrology.
You mentioned free will. It's an interesting conversation that always comes up when you've got an astrologer on board. Can I just poke and prod that straight this early on in the conversation? Where do you land in around this free will?
I love that question. There's a thing called destiny. You and I were supposed to meet. You were supposed to come to our school and watch the evolution of your own consciousness, and now you get to share it with people. That was a destiny line. I can feel it when we met. I felt like I knew you. And you meet those people, and those are destiny lines. There's not a lot of free will in that zone. There are certain things that are written. They're in the Akashic records. There's past life memories. There's stuff that we didn't finish, and then we come together. Now, the free will button is, are we going to stay together? Are we going to work through the bumps? Are we going to back out the back door? Are we going to judge the shit out of you like we did last lifetime? Or are we going to come into a peaceful state? That's the free will button. It's very small.
So it's almost like things do bring us together and collide. So there are certain parts of the path that are destined, and then there are certain parts of the path which are open for us to sort of then weave from there. And that's where free will kicks in.
That's right. The mom and dad you got, the dog you got, the body type you have, your wife, the kids, that was all written. Those are karmic decisions that are made beyond the mind. The variable is you're evolving, or are you? I mean, we all have to ask ourselves, am I growing? Am I learning? Because the evolved souls that you know, and you're one of them, they laugh all the time. They have a beautiful life. Even when things go wrong, they make it into positives. They have an incredible gift of levity, of when you're around those characters, for some reason you feel better immediately. And you know when there's an old soul because if one-liners come out here and there where you're like, can I write that down? So old souls, they are still suffering. The human condition is a very, very confused operating system. It's the free will zone that gets us out of reactivity once we've been victimized. We get the choice to say, hold on, hold on, hold on. I read somewhere that if you take a deep breath and you slow things down and meditate, if you listen to podcasts that give you spiritual content, you'll notice that your emotional reactivity might change. Now that's the free will zone. But all that stuff that goes on in your liver and your kidney and your brain and your liver and that's all operative without free will. So there is two phases. One is the absolute things written in the stars, and the other is the free will written in your heart.
There's someone that guided you on your journey, Alice, I'm forgetting the last name.
Bailey.
Alice Bailey, thank you. And her relationship and interpretation, because you mentioned suffering. Some people are suffering. Her interpretation of suffering was quite unique, and I think that's influenced you in quite a way. Can you describe that, please?
That's such a great question. You know, people go and try to get Alice Bailey. You can Google it, and it's very old English, very hard to read, very stuffy. It's like reading Shakespeare. It's very difficult to decipher.
Ye yonder type sort of stuff.
Yeah, yes, and lots of words, because she was channeling a Tibetan, and it was 1930s, and she had this direct experience of having a being come in the room, and she wrote 24 books. So she wasn't knowledgeable what she was writing, but she was writing, so it came through in the Tibetan, I don't even know when you read it. But and having said that, I did spend years of my life deciphering Alice Bailey. And yes, you're right. One of the things she says that I find so heartwarming and so sad at the same time is the human condition is built for you're not going to believe this, for sabotage. Like all of us are built to actually hurt ourselves, get confused, get lost, and break and be in pain. That's the nature of the beast. The choice factor, which she calls the soul, when it comes into the ego and infuses the ego, because you cultivate your soul by studying, by meditating, by listening to different music, by changing the way you eat, as the soul infuses the ego, then the unconscious mind of the ego gets infused with the awareness of the soul, and now we have awakeness. And this is what Alice Bailey's goal was would this planet make it through this transition? Because they said, this, I swear, once every 100 years in the summer of 2025, during the full moon of Wesak, when the Taurus-Scorpio full moon occurred, they said it was the first time in 100 years that the hierarchy on the other planes of existence where they watch us were going to come down and take a look at us and decide whether we were going to make it or not. Is that wild?
Totally.
And so this was the summer. And I think if you look around at this planet, you can see we're at an inflection point. Will we go to the kind? Alice Bailey's invitation was there'd be a unified field across the planet of kindness, of generosity, of soulfulness, of being really humanitarians. But the question was, would we go through that transition or would we resist? And based on the way we were designed, we seem to have gravity. It affects every older person's body. It affects men's hair. It affects gravity on all kinds of faculties in this planet where you watch things wear out. And then the question is there an untarnished place inside of us that never has the effect of gravity? Does the soul have a timeless place to live in where it loves the Creator so much that it gets over itself? Now, that's the decision the collective's making. Are we going to actually get over ourselves and say, we have family here that's in pain? We've got to be kind to each other. We have to forgive those people. We have to figure out how to be nice. It sounds so dippy. It sounds like a 1960s hippie song, only it's true. And we're at a critical juncture right now. Will the planet make the decision? It's up to you. This is the free will zone. Are you willing to be kind, gentle, awake, aware, considerate? These are the words that come in Alice Bailey's language.
She also mentioned that certain souls that come in, it's hard to articulate this because I'm sure it's going to trigger some people. Certain souls come in ready to suffer, and they're actually processing like some sort of collective karma, which is, it's icky to talk about, but can you
But it's
unpack that for
true.
us?
And yes, it's simply the free will zone was so small. It was, do you want to incarnate? Do you want to go down to that planet where you're going to have amazing sensual physical realities with smells and taste and textures and sunrises and cold water and fire? And that place is nuts. You go on planes and you go around. And then the other side, they didn't probably say it as clear, is there's an emotional body there. The planet should be called water because it's blue. And that's not easy to manage. And there won't be very good instruction. We were like, I want to go down there. This looks like so much. And they were like, I'm telling you about that emotional thing. Careful. Dun, 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 dun. 8 billion people came all the way. They came all the way. They're continuing to come here. And do you know why? Because they wanted to see if they could stay in love the longest. Who could keep their heart open when they found out that their karma included the loss of their mother? Who could keep their heart open when they found out that their father abandoned them at so young? How did they recover? Who could keep their heart open when they was divorced by their best friend marrying their husband? These are human nature. How do we handle what's going on politically right now? Well, the question is, who can stay in love the longest? How can I keep my heart open? Do I have what it takes to remember? This is where astrology comes in. What did I sign up for again? Wait, why did I go down there with this funny symptom in my body? That was the parents that I chose? Somebody remind me. And that's where astrology comes in to at least trigger the memory of what the chart was. The promise of the chart is the description of who you were going to come in and be this life. And look how good you're doing. And there is an advantage to being an old soul. So you came in with a little bit of a smiley face and this beautiful wife and the children, like things really have served you. That's a sign of a soul who's inheriting the karma of their last life. And just so you all know, you're planting the seeds right now for your next life. So the free will button is very small. It's as simple as, can I remember? Hello, astrology. Can I remember what I signed up for? Do I know why I came down here? Because without that deep knowing, this is the elder speaking, it's very hard to manage what you just talked about. When karma, when life, when symptoms, when death, heartbreak, all that comes, you're like, why me? And then you realize, oh, I volunteered. I didn't get pushed on the bus. They wanted me to come here. Do you remember?
It's interesting because I think so many people have so many loved ones or themselves are suffering, and they look around at each other and it's just like, in certain spiritual circles, people say, hey, like you chose that in some ways. And it can be such a deep trigger for some people.
It's not that you chose it. It's an assignment. When you came down, the Akashic records had records of what it was that you promised you'd learn, and they put it in your chart. It's not like you chose. That's so rude to think that somebody would choose such tragedy. However, there is an intelligence that's guiding the stars. They're predictable, they're constant, they're as steady as the northern star. It will never, ever deviate, those planets. Now that's trustworthy. And there is a design, and it's based on God, spirit, call it what you will. And it takes a very humbled, soft heart, tender soul to actually believe that what I'm saying is true. That there is a design, and you were here for a reason, and it has been organized, and it's not that you chose it, you're devoted. You really wanted to come down to earth. They just didn't give you the fine print. They could have said, it hurts, the mom gives birth, she's screaming, the baby, the mother dies at the end, and then we're screaming. In the middle of the party, there's like these orgasms, we're screaming. I mean, there's so many cool things that go from the front to the end, to the beginning, to, whoo! But they didn't say it's gonna hurt unless you figure out how to make your unconscious conscious. And that's where Jung was right, and that's where astrology comes in, and that's where really good psychology comes in, and you've really got to use your discernment to pick the right people to study with.
Inspired souls, lumen beings, I wanted to take a moment to thank all of you that have subscribed to this podcast. Everything you see around here is powered and empowered by your subscription to this channel. Thank you so much for your incredible love and support. And to all of you that haven't yet subscribed, please do take a moment. As I'm saying the word subscribe, the button below is lighting up in the colors of the Inspired Evolution. Please hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification icon. Join the community and the movement, spreading love, positivity, and wisdom like this together around the planet. Many of you think you are subscribed, but you actually aren't. So if you can see that button, it means you haven't. So please do hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for your love and support. Can we follow your journey a little bit? Because you were a psychologist and then you came into this astrology thing.
It went the other way. It went the other way.
Oh, tell us, bring us in. How did
I was little. I was a 10-year-old little girl. I saw in the Detroit funny pages in the comic. It said astrology, and you put your name on this thing, and I sent it away. I was so little, and I remember it. It's such a funny memory. Anyways, fast forward, I was about 14. I got to know all the kids in the school's birth dates because I found a book called The Sun and the Moon, and I read everyone's. Then I got to be about 18, and I started astrology. And I actually, destiny, I was given the gift of remembering something as though the child sat down at the piano and started playing piano and never had a piano lesson. That's how I felt about astrology. I just knew it.
Like a savant, yeah.
I hate telling people that, but it was true. I found it so early and I loved it so much. And then I went to graduate school to study clinical psychology because I knew that I didn't want to tell people I was an astrologer. It wasn't my family and my upbringing and my academic, that just wasn't going to go over. So I went and got traditional training. And I married them right at the beginning. As soon as I got to graduate school, I went to the supervisor and said, I'm going to do research on astrology and psychology. And she was like, no, you're not. I don't even know what you just said. I said, yes, I am. And I did. And I spent my entire career, it's been almost 50 years, of really seeing, and you know this, how the astrology chart discerns the karma, the lessons, the personality type, the promise you've made. It's real.
It's, I'm not sure if you're comfortable sharing this, but there was also this point where like it came online for you, like you were in a dream and someone told you that this Chinese lady, like, can you tell us about that if you're open to it?
Yeah, I was in Toronto. I was in undergrad. I think I was in my second or first year of school. I just started doing readings. I didn't know really what I was doing, but I woke up in the middle of the night with some lady screaming at me. When I was little, I had this Chinese lady that came in my dreams, but she was wagging her finger. She was like, stop acting so stupid. You've been doing astrology for lifetimes. And I woke up, sat up in my bed scared, those kind of nightmares. And then I started charging the next day.
It was interesting because I think somewhere along the lines I've picked up that, astrology used to be reserved for men.
Only men.
right? And then this time I look around, like, because I went through the Debra Silverman School of Astrology, and I'm looking around, and I was like, there are boys going through it, but
Oceans
it's like
of women.
there's oceans of women going through astrology. Do you look at sort of the
pendulum went, look what happened to the pendulum. Whoop! It was all men, and now there's a whole bunch of women. It's just the times have changed.
Does that mean a lot to you, coming through in this lifetime and being a woman teaching women astrology?
Yes, yes. I think it's the deepest, it gives me a smile on my face. I feel very honored and privileged to have had the discipline to do a reading every single day for years and years and years and years and years and years. My kids will tell you every morning I did readings every morning for years and years and years and years, because I'm in love with it. I'm in love with the fact that it works, because I'm so logical. I came to astrology being a skeptic. That's why the name of the book is I Don't Believe in Astrology, because everybody didn't believe in astrology. But after years and years and years of every single session, the person finishes and says, you know this feeling. There's not a better feeling than someone hangs up and says, thank you so much for confirming what I thought was wrong with me is actually my gift. I had no idea. And that happened to me. It happened to me in my own life. Like, why am I so intense? I used to ask myself when I was young. I have a grand trine in fire. I have excessive energy. I rode a bike yesterday for 70 miles and I'm almost 70 years old. It doesn't make sense. But that's my chart. And when I figured it out, I was like, oh, I have excessive energy. Duh. And now there's permission, and now I can do that and not feel self-conscious or turn it down or be embarrassed or all those things that...
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I was saying you don't have to worry.
I don't have to worry anymore. I mean, for so many years as a woman, and many women in this room are listening know this, when you have as much enthusiasm as I have, you have the same thing. We both have Saturn and Sag. So there's this wild enthusiasm. I just get tickled. And some people tried to tell me to tone it down. And I did. Until my stomach started hurting, until my skin broke out, until I felt really depressed, and I realized that I was pushing down all depression, pushing down who you are. And then I took the lid off and I went, I'm going to go get my chart done.
There is something really magical. I won't say Hogwartsy, but there is something really magical about the Debra Silverman School of Astrology. I don't know if it is your deep passion for for Saturn and the Saturn around all of that, but there is an unbridled enthusiasm. Everybody that's there to read a chart, to hang out, to teach each other how to read, like, it is just, there's a deep aliveness for it. And there's almost this kind of like peeking around the corridors and being like, do we really get to do this? kind of vibe. It's it's a really incredible space. It's a really incredible space. I'm really grateful, actually. Thank you so much.
And we call it Hotel California. No one ever leaves. The astrologers that are teaching have been there for 10 years. We've had 10 years of a school. It's really true. And you're right. And why is it that we say that? We look around the corner and feel guilty because we had the best session. Because what matters more in the whole world than being seen? You tell me. Why do we have lovers? Why do we have best friends? Why do we have dogs? Like, somebody look at me and see me. And really tell me what you see. And then I get to see myself. And then I get to see you. And now we're in love.
Well, this is a huge thing, actually. I mean, because we could blaze past this point and move further into the podcast. But one of the things in there is so much of personal development that doesn't go soul deep, is, hey, you should do this. And, hey, you should do that. And, hey, you should do this. And, hey, you should do that. And you get shoulded all over to the point where it's like, oh, I should be a vegan. Oh, I should be, a carnivore. Oh, I should be, and it's just like, just let go. Or it's just like, hold on tightly, and it's just like, which one is it? And you just end up in all these shoulds and you're stretched as it is. And it becomes it was really profound for me. And I think also the way your school approaches it is this permission. Like you can't, it's just the biggest, fattest Willy Wonka golden ticket permission slip you are ever going to get. You know, it's just like, here, just you go be you, you know, and there's an incredible medicine in that, Debra.
I know it because I suffered for having tried to be someone else. I kept myself so many different shapeshifters as Libra rising, so much shapeshifting. And then as the years have gone by and I've really distilled my chart and I've really understood, I have such a comfort in my nervous system now to be me. But so many of you listening to this, one, you don't know what you're doing here. You really don't know. Two, you feel like something's wrong, like something about you is a little quirky. Three, you're not really sure who really likes you because you're not really sure you really like you. So that love current, except for the dog who's unconditional looking at you with its tail wagging. But there's so much human nature that deals with inadequacy and self-consciousness. And what astrology is, it's like a shot in the arm. If you knew how many letters I've gotten from men, from their husbands, the women's husbands, saying, my wife is back. She's laughing again. She's getting up in the morning. She can't wait to study. Because I call astrology Windex for the left brain. Like you have to learn a little bit in level 1. It's not a lot, but it does require some memorization. And if your left brain has been latent because you've been scrolling too much and you left books behind, astrology will bring that muscle back.
So let's go in. Esoteric versus exoteric astrology. So tell us a little bit about the difference between esoteric
both
astrology and exoteric astrology.
Yeah, it's back to the original conversation that the ego is exoteric. It's regular astrology. Everything you read in the books in the bookstore, whenever you're wherever you go to the bookstore and look for the astrology, that's exoteric. And it's all about your ego, about your external personality. And it describes your outer world. And astrology can describe when you'll get married or when you'll get divorced or when you'll have a baby. Exoteric astrology has a predictive tool that's real. Esoteric astrology is answering a different question. It does that too, but it answers this question. What did you agree to do this lifetime? So the esoteric is looking at the soul and distinguishing the hyper-starving ego that needs and takes and scared and insecure from the calm soul who is waiting for you in the wings, soul, source of unconditional love, just waiting there to see if it could love you. Now, we don't know how to naturally go to our soul until we have the dark night of the soul, until we have a heartbreak, until we have a bad diagnosis. Then the spiritual world, or you drink some tea, mushroom tea, and your soul shows up. That's a big one. Or take some, whatever those things are, ayahuasca. That's the door opener for the soul to go, excuse me, you are so distracted. And by the way, you look miserable. Now, if you would just lean into me, said the soul, take a breath with me, open up your heart, be vulnerable, authentic, and get to know your chart and who you really are, you're going to find out that your soul is so in love with you. Your soul has been following you around since the beginning of time, waiting for you to become conscious of your unconscious and then look up. You take your unconscious, the shadow, you take it with you and you say, and now I want to go to the light. It's that simple, but it requires effort. It's not natural. Gravity takes down the ego. Exoteric astrology is always very obvious. Esoteric is much deeper and richer. And you know this, in our school, we listen to our client as the resource for their wisdom. We are not the experts on them. We simply have the map in front of us, but then they tell us their story. And we unfold right in front of us. We see them unfolding and their soul emerges and they finish the session. They're like, I haven't felt this good in years. Yeah, because I just put your ego over there and I spoke straight to your heart, and people finish the sessions and feel different. That's what the school does. People leave the school different.
So the ego is governed by the sun in both esoteric and exoteric. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because then what I really want to dive into is the differences between rising, because rising actually is almost two different dipoles between there, which is kind of, I don't want to say harrowing, but it's like, well, it could mean one thing to one person, a whole nother thing when you're studying astrology with Debra Silverman.
That's right. And that's why in my book, I have a whole chapter on the rising sign as the most significant marker. Because in Esoteric, good point. And Alice Bailey said, the rising sign's much more important than the sun sign. So you cultivate the high road of your rising sign, because the ego is your sun sign. And by the way, you need an ego to get to the bank. You have to have the right banking number and your name and your social security or whatever we use in Australia. That is all ego. Your little personality with your little driver's license, that's all ego. At the other hand, there's the soul part of you who's equally important but never makes a demand. And until you have crisis, you're all filled with your ego. And then we get taken to our knees, and then we have a baby, and then we have the dog died, and then our hearts opened up, and that's what it took. It's very interesting to me that the rising sign, called the rising sign or the ascendant, is an effort. The ego's easy. It's like when you hit your knee and your knee goes like this. That's your ego. That's your sun sign. Everybody, so you're just playing, we're just la la la. And the soul's in the back room going, shh. Would you just take a minute, take a breath, slow down, meditate, listen? I'll be here with you. Your soul's just waiting in the wings. Did you know that? They're like, yeah, then the soul really takes over, and that's when life becomes so beautiful.
Because it's also in, for most people, the rising sign seems to be this almost like, I don't want to call it a mask, but it's, you know, in the sort of mainstream, it's like this part of you that they meet that is your energetic field, but it's almost like the edge of your aura is just this. It's not really like soul deep when they're coming to your rising sign, right? But
it's just not as easy to find. I think that's what you're trying to say.
Well,
Go ahead.
I was going to say in exoteric, it's very different. It's like my interpretation from exoteric astrology is like your rising sign is what people will meet and interface with, but it's not really like given as
That's
your
right.
soul.
Well, it's
right?
the low, because there's a low level of everyone's operating out of their rising sign at the low level. It's instinctual. You have to stretch. That's why the book has such a distinction between the low level and the high level. So for you, low level Taurus is very shy and very self-conscious and very slow and a little bit insecure and doesn't really feel confident. The high level of the Taurus is the Hierophant. It's the spiritual leader who knows ritual, who stands in front of the room and teaches from direct experience of going slow and thorough. Like, you're going to be the best astrologer because your Taurus rising will not let you fake anything. That's the high road of Taurus. The low road of Taurus is insecurity. How different is that? It's radical, you guys. You have to read in the book the high road and the low road about your rising sign. And just for you, you know that Buddha was a Taurus. The high road of your rising sign is simply the being part that has the patience and the kindness to know that you bring to us. And it's so true in your silly, little, cutest little face. You look like a little Buddha. You make everybody feel good. That's the high road of Taurus. You don't have to do anything. You just sit there. Am I right or am I right? I wish everybody was going,
I let you do all the talking and I just sit here.
Well, it's just the presence of your rising sign is enough to make us all feel comforted, Amrit.
Touch wood. Thank you for your blessings. There's a really interesting, and back to that self-permission piece, right? Having those two roads, I mean, the high road and the low road you've literally written a book on it. But you know what I mean? Like, it is such an important, because it gives you like, hey, like, one of my favorite quotes, Debra, is, and I think you shared it in the book, is Rumi, the cracks are where the light gets in. Yeah. And having that low road version of like, this is what Taurus in its low road is, and this is what Taurus in its high road is, you know, it gives you this ability to sort of connect with, this is the stuff that actually is me, probably should work on, back to the shoulding conversation, or is an opportunity for me. And here's a bunch of stuff that I can lean into that is naturally going to like support me on my path. It's like me and my highest version of myself, right? And it's like, and it's worth investing in those areas because there's like a natural flow for your being, right?
Yes. The magic that happens, I'm going to say this as an elder who's almost 70, as I've let my ego, which is very cute, and I have a small personality, you may have noticed. I mean, I've definitely got an ego, and I've definitely got a personality. And it definitely gets me into the magical places like on a podcast with you. And then I have a soul, Libra rising, who is so concerned that everyone have a turn, who's very kind. I love Libra rising for this reason. Now, as the years have gone by, I still have that ego, and she dresses up in her little outfits and her earrings and the whole thing. It's just that I've now learned that my highest value is harmony, and really standing in the discomfort of disharmony in order to get to harmony, and being willing to be unliked to get to harmony. And all the low roads of Libra was shape-shifting and pretending and just being whoever they wanted me to be. And as the years have gone by, I'm on the high road. Now that's evolution. That took time. That took studying. That took getting it wrong a lot. And your rising sign, if I use you for an example, anyone in this room, let's go through them really quick. If you're Aries rising, you promise this life to stand up and push. Like that's what your soul agreed to do, to be the one that was bold. All of these we resist. If you're Taurus rising, you promised that you would teach us about stability and consistency and really provide an example as a leader of safety. And they don't want to do that. They don't want all that attention. Gemini rising, you promised us like that you would talk and write and think and communicate for us, and there you are not wanting to talk. Cancer rising, you promised us like that you would cuddle, care, mother, father, play house, and really take care of your body. Are you doing it? Leo rising, believe it or not, the sign of Leo rising, they came here to show off, show up, and they're shy. It's the craziest thing. Their soul doesn't want to be noticed, and that's what they promised to do. You got to get up, get out, and stand out. Virgo rising, you came in this life as a beautiful physical specimen, because Virgo rising is the most beautiful looking, to appreciate your beauty and to stop criticizing. Like stand in the beauty of the simplicity, of the authenticity, of the untamed, of the messy, and see the beauty. Libra risings, they're the sweetest, nicest, kindest people, and they leave themselves out. And then they feel like they don't really have the ability to do relationship until they say, wait a minute, I'm going to learn how to stand up for myself and still be in harmony, even if it means disharmony. Scorpio rising, you promised that you would really be straight with us and use your intuition without hurting anyone. That you would be very direct, you would make sure you finish whatever you started, and keeping everything gentle on the way there and the way out. Because when you get off, woo. Sag rising, promised, oh my God, when this is the funnest one, you promised to laugh and to travel and to entertain people, to be athletic and spiritual and play the games in the name of sports and go off, and you came in this lifetime to turn up the volume. It's too bad you're so uninhibited. That's not the right word. You're too inhibited. You get inhibited, Sag, because you're so loud and big. And then we have Capricorn rising. These are the people that really came in to be of service to the collective, and they work all the time and they like it, but they never, ever think they're doing enough. It's sad because they're so excellent at whatever they do. And Aquarius rising came for the future. They're bringing us a new way of being, even though it's a little awkward and we make fun of you and you're so off the beaten path, but your soul decided that you would stand apart and not be self-conscious in order to help us bring in a brand new way of thinking, even though you don't want to. And last is Pisces rising, the most sensitive, dreamy, poetic, musical artist who is so sensitive they don't want to go out of the house. So it's really a decision for Pisces rising to say, I will do my art and not escape. I will stay in this world as it is. So what's really funny is just the resistance to the very thing. That's what's funny about to your point. You do the mask of it. You're right. It's a mask. It's a persona. But the deeper version that takes you to the high road is where the satisfaction comes from.
Hey there, Inspired Souls. Spirituality is not something we just talk about here at the Inspired Evolution. It's something we live and breathe with our entire beings. Whether it's in your career, your life, the way you lead in the world, or your relationships, it's at the heart of the way we believe life should be lived. And so if you're feeling out of alignment, or you can feel that there's something more, or you're feeling like you're not thriving in life, touch wood, the way that you ought to be, Then we've got guidance to take you even deeper. You've got support from me one-on-one, and you've also got a like-minded, like-hearted community masterminding, master-hearting together through guidance together. And you don't have to take my word for it. This is how people all over the world have transformed through guidance.
Everything just kind of fell into place, and now I'm on a path that I actually believe in and I'm excited about, because I feel like I'm becoming my best self.
Over those 2 years, I have done so much. I can't believe where I am now. I'm thrilled where I am now. Not only was he a coach, but he became a divine presence in my life.
You can show up to Amrit with all sorts of chaos in your life and you leave feeling completely centered with some direction that is going to get you results. It's just magic when you're in coaching with Amrit. You just flow with it all.
I feel that I have access and connection to somebody who is deeply entrenched in my development.
If you're thinking about it, just do it. You won't regret it.
So what are you waiting for? If you feel the call, then join me on a call. amritsandhu.com/call. Link on screen now, and also at the top of the description in the show notes below. Join me in a call. Let's dive in deep to your path, onwards, upwards, and inwards from here. I'm looking forward to seeing you in a call. Go on, I'll see you there. Can I ask you a question specifically about your chart? So, because you mentioned you've been hanging out with Libra rising your whole life, and like the harmony piece is such a huge piece for you, yeah. And so that's like your soul's like harmony, and everybody gets a turn, and like the kindness element. Everyone feels that dripping off you, by the way. Don't you? But then there's also this element of your Sag in Saturn, right? And so one of the key things that one of the directives that the school gives us is like, hey, Sag, you got to learn to be blunt, bro. Yeah. And this is something I'm personally struggling with because I've got a sun in Virgo. Yeah. And people pleasing is like such a great shadow that Virgo holds on to, right? But also having a Saturn in Sag is kind of going like, you've got to be blunt. It's like, you what? Like, why is that the directive? The Virgo, the Virgo shadow goes. How, with your Libra rising, with all the harmony placements and the invitation into harmony, but then this Saturn placement around, hey, you've got to be blunt.
Great question. So just for the audience's sake, there's two indicators in astrology that my book refers to. One is the rising sign, the higher self, the ascendant, going up and really getting the high road of that. And the other is Saturn. And Saturn's like an old man. He's kind of grumpy. He's not friendly. He lives in a cave. I think he just kind of sits there and waits to give people assignments. I don't know. And he's funny when no one's looking. When you get to know him, he's got this wicked sense of humor, but he's kind of grandpa-like, and he's grumpy. And he's a woman. If he's a woman, he's just this older woman that doesn't look happy until you get to know them. And you find out they're filled with wisdom, and they drop those wisdom bombs, and you're so thankful you sat next to them, even though they didn't really invite you. So Saturn comes with harsh, it's Saturn return. It doesn't really give you an invitation. It screams. The rising sign is hovering. It's not a planet. It's an essence of your soul that you've got to get acquainted to fulfill your purpose. So they work in tandem. So to your point, yes, one part of me is a pleaser and harmony, and they can all smell it across the internet that I'm so nice. And then the other part of me is this blunt truth teller who's got a little bit of shades of Tourette's, like I say things that are inappropriate, like saying Tourette's. I have this way of, oops, and they don't get along. I mean, those are two flavors. The shapeshifter who's a pleaser does not get along with the honest one who says things that are not appropriate, and so I've had to make them friends. Now, this is the essence of astrology. It's like parts of you have to get coordinated. Well, I can't say it's a finished project. I'll be honest. I've measured my capacity of telling the truth. I do it when someone asks me a question or they're paying me. I made rules up so it was easier for me to take care of my bluntness. I've stopped the shape-shifting at my expense, usually after I do it first. So I can't say I'm watching it. And it's become very endearing. I think the distinction that you're looking for is, it's not whether they get along or not, because there is really a kind of a wrestling match at times or a conflict. The additional component is I always get this little grin on my face, and then I look like you, because I think to myself, is it really that important? This is where I always land. I'm a non-dualist astrologer who realized that peace matters. This is Libra rising at the high road. Peace matters more than anything. When I get it wrong, I'll say I'm sorry to myself, because I just recently had an episode where I really disappointed myself because of the shapeshifter. I'm calling myself out kindly. I'm seeking counsel. I'm asking for help from my elders, the ones I trust. And I put it up to, I guess I'm still growing. I guess getting it wrong means I'm getting it right because I'm still interested. So you're going to have that your whole life. You're going to have to get used to being slightly humbled because your Saturn and the Virgo conflicted with this, they square, Sag and Virgo. You're going to have that conflict and you're going to have to talk yourself through it and be really kind and go, wow. And once in a while you'll get it really right. You'll be so proud of yourself. And then there'll be another episode.
You mentioned this piece about I'm watching it. And I think you said that in passing, but there's a really deep piece of your wisdom around the observer, actually, going back to your piece around psychology and astrology. Can you tell us a little bit about the observer?
I just had a flash of working with you on the phone and how much I love the way I know this is what you do one-on-one with people. You brought out the best of me because of this part of you. You go slow down, you go deep, you go straight to the important question. Yeah, I saw you do that when we were working together. When I was teaching you and I was learning about you through your openness. Let's see, go back to the question was, do it again.
The observer. You were mentioning
the most important thing in the whole wide world. How could I forget? Okay, ready? It's so fun. That's so fun. And that's the value of the observer. It's the humility to say, I don't know. The observer watches you from a distance, just like right then. I forgot where I was. I kindly asked you for your help. There was no shame or no embarrassment because my observer said, Deb, Amrit's got you. The observer is the part in all of us that knows all is well. We're on schedule. There's no judgments. The observer watches you like it's a reporter from the New York Times. It just reports. It doesn't have an opinion. It doesn't have any judgments. Oh, you forgot something. And because it's so compassionate, this is the part of us that is Switzerland, I like to call it. Like it just stands, no war, nothing. And if we could cultivate that as the landing pad, that when something goes wrong, it's been happening to me. I've been in an interesting era at this moment. And I keep hearing myself, I do this out loud, I swear. Observer, I say this to myself, observer on. And then I feel better. I give that to all of you in the audience. When you're caught in your emotional body, when your internal dialogue's driving you nuts, when you're feeling emotional, stop, take a breath. Observer on, get me out of here. That's another way to say, like, hold on a minute. Where is the pause button? And that's the observer. And it's become a muscle. It's what astrology is for, making the unconscious conscious. Come on up. We're going to look over here. Pay attention to the patterns. See if we can't be a facilitator of spirit, because I'm in the higher realm looking over at myself from the distance. And then I offer a blessing. And it takes away fear. It makes me less scared. It makes me more myself as the years have gone by. Don't tell anyone, but I don't like to socialize. And now I don't feel bad about it. Like I went to a wedding the other night, and I turned to my best friend was there, and I said, you're not going to like this. I'm going to meet you in the car. He was like, what? I was like, I've been here. We did the wedding. It was gorgeous. I finished dinner. I don't want to do it. I'm going to meet you in the car. And I did. And that's the knowing of oneself and knowing how to take care of my own rhythm, because I'm an 8th house sun, so I really love the quiet. Isn't that funny? Snuck out into the car. And my observer kicked in and said, Debra, you look really bored. Well, I am really bored. Well, why don't you go take care of yourself? Go outside. Okay, I will. So the observer is the free will zone. It's the get out of jail free card. It's where you suddenly have an option.
Yeah, it's has me reflecting on the time where I was coached by Eckhart Tolle to become like presence purpose coaching, and the key thing in there was even coming into the present moment from whichever direction was really about stepping back into that space of exactly what you're describing as the observer, you know, and in astrology, the way you're teaching it does it as well. It's really profound. It's really profound.
And you'll know you're in your observer because you'll start smiling. Like all of a sudden, it's all funny. I mean, we're in a very dramatic movie. And this planet should be called water, not earth. It's all water. It's an emotional experience down here. That's what you came for, just in case you didn't know. And to manage the emotional body without the observer, without standing up and out, looking at your chart, getting I don't know how people do it.
Yeah, it's interesting. As you call the planet water, it makes me wonder about, is it extra hard for the fire types to be?
Yes, it's extra hard for the water types, because they're already emotional, and the planet's all water, and they're the ones that stay home. They don't want to go out of the house, and they don't believe in friendships anymore, and they just want to be around the dog and the kids. That's water people. Too much water is highly emotional down here. The fire people are having a drink.
Can I get my bearings with you in the conversation again? So we've got the Debra Silverman method, right? So we've got Sun rising, and then also you've got this like unbridled love for Saturn. I mean, I know you mentioned he's an old man, but you've got an unbridled love for Saturn. So Sun rising Saturn, Carl Jung, we've got id, superconscious, subconscious. Can you help us sort of pair? Can we pair them up? Do they pair as neatly?
It's funny, yes. It's so funny you asked that. In the book that I wrote, I Don't Believe in Astrology, I wanted to do this, and in the end we took it out. It doesn't really pair up as closely as that. I would say the superego, of course, is Saturn, giving the rules. The personality, the ego, would be the sun sign. And the id could be called the rising sign because it's the unconscious higher realm. But the id, according to traditional psychology, is not spiritual. Jung or Freud called it, ready? A cauldron of seething excitations. Like the id was this like, rah. So it wouldn't be really a good answer for the soul, for the rising sign, but so it didn't work. I tried. It's funny you asked this. I tried to put the three together. I think the shorter answer is, if you're hearing this interview and you're interested to answer the question, what did you come to learn, Saturn? How can you be in your full promise at the high road, your rising sign? And what should you be careful about, your sun sign, your ego? Because it will try ego, evading God's oneness. It wants to be special. It wants to be unique. It wants to dress up. It doesn't like mustard. It wants to make sure it's always late. Always on time. It's always cleaning. It's always messy. The ego has so many personality traits that don't go away until, drum roll, the observer's on and you realize, I'm a Gemini and I talk a lot. I didn't think there was a free will button around here, but I've learned how to listen. I've changed my personality with the insert of astrology.
So Saturn's your favorite planet, and for thousands of years it was actually the outermost planet that we had, and it's
because we can see it.
Yeah, right. And then only in the last couple of 100 years, with the
when they found telescopes, they had to find a telescope to get to the next one.
Right, and so that's only been like a couple of hundred years. Like it hasn't been that
1780.
long. Right, that then they started discovering Neptune, Uranus, Pluto, and so a bit of a trippy question, but as we're sort of starting to open up into, the scientific advancements of becoming aware of these other planets, were we already under the influence of these other three planets beyond Saturn? How does being aware of what's out there impact our felt perception of what's actually going on inside?
What a great question, you little deep soul, you. First of all, I don't know if you know the tarot deck. I'm teaching a class at Shift Network coming up in November.
On the tarot?
Yeah, because listen to this, there's 22 major arcana in the tarot deck. And then there's the 56, the regular cards, the cups, the swords, all the rest of them. But the major arcana are 22. 12 of them are the 12 signs. 10 of them are the 10 planets. But they founded the tarot in the 15th century before they ever found Uranus, Neptune, or Pluto, and they left exactly enough cards. Pluto is a death card. Uranus is the Fool. I mean, it was like perfectly designed in the 15th century before they ever found the other planets. So I'm staying with, it's a closed system. It's airtight. Those 10 planets worked. We don't need any more right now. However, we are entering a new era. And I don't know what society will look like once AI comes in. I don't know the intervention that's going to occur once the humans and the AIs merge and they realize there's a danger factor. This entire matrix may change. It would not surprise me. And outer planets would be found because AI is more intelligent than us eventually, coming soon, within the next 2 years. So I'm going to say there's a closed system for now. We've got the 10 planets. We don't need anybody else. They tried to demote Pluto about 10 years ago. That's ridiculous. That's the shadow card. It's so funny. It rules the shadow, and they wanted to erase it, but that didn't work. So we've got the 10 planets, the 12 signs, the 22 major arcana, and there's great wisdom. There is unbelievable wisdom that lives in the tarot deck that I will be sharing before this year ends.
I'm really excited about that. That is actually very trippy. 15th century, they were already holding space for these planets that we hadn't actually seen before. It
And
speaks to a profound...
Neptune is the hangman. I mean, it's funny how they knew that death was the scorpion. When Pluto was found, they applied it to death. Like, it's crazy how perfect it fits.
So in your mind, they are holding space. There's already this like sort of esoteric awareness, mystic awareness of what's
There's an
yet to be discovered.
entire family watching you right now. Everyone in this room. Do not make the mistake to think for 1 minute that you're alone, ever. And there's an intelligence that is operative that does not exist on Earth. We are a funny race. We have a bad operating system. We're emotional creatures, and we're emotionally undeveloped. That's not true with the higher levels. Now, that's too much to ask the mind to entertain, unless you're an astrologer and you believe in this shit. So I don't want to impose that on you. I just want to say, have faith that the perfect design of these planets moving in incremental moments, and it never deviates. Mercury goes retrograde 3 times a year. We know exactly where it's going. Every time the planets go backwards and forwards, it's completely predictable. It's calculated based on a formula that is non-movable. Isn't that comforting to know the planets are totally, completely reliable, and it's been the oldest science on Earth, and we're waking up inside the dream going, what sign am I? That's funny.
It is quite remarkable what you're talking about, because actually astrology is very grounding. It's quite trippy because when you start speaking to people that are into astrology that are then like, oh, sorry, Mercury's going retrograde right now, they sound off planet. But actually, once you start stepping into astrology, you start to recognize it's actually very, very grounding, which is kind of trippy because it's a bit it's like wah, 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 wah. Because what's going on in there? Like for me, I'm in the middle of a Saturn square right now. And what this particular Saturn square has taught me
Tell
is...
them what that is. Can you tell the audience?
So the way Saturn's an incredible teacher, as we've been discussing in this particular podcast, right? Life's work, right? Really like life's work, like your directive here in life. Like, what are you here to do, son? You know? And it's very, like you said, grandfather medicine. Like he'll happily just sit there at the back porch, watch you fall off the edge. And he's like, yeah, you won't do that again, will ya?
Exactly.
So, and it's like, ouch, it really hurt. And it's like,
That was really true.
that was a good lesson. We call those lessons, son. And it's like, so
Welcome to Saturn.
Saturn's return was actually the birthplace of the Inspired Evolution podcast for me, which was 7 years ago, right? I was career misalignments, it was really painful to be living a life that wasn't actually my life's work, touch wood. And so that was what gave birth to the Inspired Evolution podcast. At the time, and you mentioned this dark night of the soul, crises, it literally felt like a dark night and I don't call them the dark nights of the soul anymore. We had a teacher come on, call it dark night of the mind because the soul never goes dark. But, same, just to sort of reconcile the lingo there. But yeah, it's that was, and so what I'm seeing now is like Saturn going into a square. So as it goes through these, like around your chart, it's going in these 90 degrees, it sort of squares, and now I'm going through a square. I sort of see like the roots that were laid down 7 years ago by Saturn and me having this conversation and falling off the edge a little bit, touch wood, but landing, in the Inspired Evolution. I see Saturn grabbing the tree and sort of stress testing the roots to sort of see which ones pop out and which ones stay grounded. And the ones that actually is like sort of medium, like he's like, all right, go on, lay those in deeper, son. you know? And the ones that are coming out are being exposed. And it's difficult because there's a lot that you've put your heart and soul into, right? And it's like, but actually that's not part of the actual plan. And you know you're being pruned for a benefit. But it's, yeah. And so, I should let you speak to that and then I'll explain the grounding bit.
That was so perfect. I loved hearing you speak to that. That's called a Saturn cycle. They call it the 7-year itch every 7 years. And there's ways to look at the chart to find the actual mathematical equation so it's not random.
Exactly.
And it describes a template shift. And I just went through one. That's when my book came out. I don't believe in astrology. The other book, which we haven't spoken to, is about the elements, which is a very simple way to enter into this work. The Missing Element is a book that has no astrology in it. It's the first book I wrote. It continues to be a great seller because it's simple and it's about the elements. And Saturn is not simple. Saturn wants you to come study and be disciplined and sign up for the class and be on time and be responsible and have a little folder and go get it all Xerox. So you have Saturn's like, that's the quality of energy we're addressing. And in my system, as you know, my love affair with that planet is the older I've gotten, the more I've seen the benefit of learning discipline, staying the course, eating really well, taking care of myself, not overdoing things, boundaries, all the things Saturn tried to teach me. At first, I was like, oh, shut up. Now I'm like, I'm your girl. And it's revealing itself in my aging, because I just went to my 50th high school reunion and I looked around and I was like, they don't have a relationship with Saturn. There were some people that did. You could tell who has listened to the directive that shows up through your life when you're uncomfortable, which is usually trust, patience, help, asking for help. You know, Saturn is not a gentle teacher, but boy, the reward as you age is wonderful.
Inspired souls, human beings, you're obviously enjoying this video, so do give it a thumbs up and a like, and we'd love for you to join in on the conversation below. So comment below, what is your sun, moon, rising? But if you know your Saturn too, what is your Saturn? As Debra's describing, it is so important to know your Saturn. It'd be beautiful to get to know you that little bit better by seeing your sun, moon, rising and Saturn. So leave those comments below. And what are you taking away from today's conversation? If you have any questions for Debra, she's likely going to be back on again very soon in the near future. I can ask those questions on your behalf. Join in on the conversation below. I did want to talk to you about that. Just want to round out the previous point was, if that's okay, the knowing that I'm in a Saturn square, right, has been so grounding, because now I know that come Feb 2026, I'll land.
Exactly.
You know, and one of the things I discovered about myself, Debra, is I'm actually incredibly resilient. As long as I know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And I don't think I'm just alone in that, right? Because if I was just going through a Saturn square and it was just going to be like this vibe, and it's like, oh, this is the new Amrit, and I didn't know that I was in a Saturn square, it's like, dude, what's going on right now? Like, life's hard. Life can feel very hard and challenging. It's like the consistent amount of challenges as the roots are being tested. Right. And it's like, wow, is this the new norm? Especially through the changes that I've gone through. Like, I've become a parent recently. And it's like, is this what it means to be a parent? And it's like, no, Rusta, no. Slow down. Yeah. This is just you till Feb next year. The Saturn square will ease off.
You won't believe the difference.
And exactly, right? But having, like, what that does for your resilience, having a light at the end of the tunnel. For me, it's February 2026. Like, I'm infinitely more resilient because I know I'm just going through a window.
And that's the value of astrology.
It's so grounding. It is so grounding. Even though it's completely off planet, it's so grounding.
Well, I know. I love how you're saying that, Mr. Taurus Virgo. It is off planet in that this world, when we think of it being grounded and practical, which is now no longer a trustworthy truth, because look what's going on politically. Like, we are so far past logic and telling us the matrix worked and convincing us that we have to follow. That's gone. The Aquarian age has arrived. So we're now in this radical free fall where we're redescribing and redefining the definition of parenting or having children or getting married, or so many new. This is the Aquarian age. It's so exciting, and it's really uncomfortable.
I do want to get into that as well. Let's talk about aging though, because there was a question, and I hope you don't mind me throwing the spotlight on you like this for a sec. But you did agree to be on the podcast. Sorry, stop, Amrit. You're too comfortable, Deborah. So
This inner dialogue just became external.
I love
The
you so
observer
much.
is
don't you?
on. Okay, good.
So, like you said, you went across to your reunion, and I mean, it's interesting to sort of see just there is a real jovial lightheartedness about your spirit. It's difficult to believe that you're 70 when you're interacting with you. Like, it's difficult to believe. Yeah. Do you believe that astrology and the psychological awareness of astrology has supported you in potentially aging like
Great
well?
question. So first of all, just to be perfectly transparent, I'm 68 and a half, so I'm on my way to 70.
Sorry.
Second of all, the simplest word is Saturn. I learned, and this is a thing nobody wants to hear, that's when people ask me, how did it happen? I figured out that being outside, looking into the sun, being barefoot, drinking fresh water, not having dairy, minimizing my sugar intake, keeping my alcohol, indulging with moderation. I learned all these things from Saturn. I have Saturn come and snuggle up and whisper things, and I write it down, and I eat it in the morning, and I practice it. Now, why do I do that? Why am I so disciplined? Because I knew my job this life was to be here with you. I knew that I remembered Saturn and Sag as the point of my yad, that I promised this life that I would come down with a philosophical example of being a woman in her eldership who had a family and then became single, who found a life of joy. I made a promise. Now, I couldn't have said that till this recent last 5 years, since 65, somewhere in there. I want to ask all of you, this is what I'm trying to say to you. Do you remember what you signed up for? That you wanted to be a dad and have those 2 children, and you wanted to be a teacher with Saturn and Sag and your Neptune, and that do you remember? And then you go, then look at his little face. Yes, I do. That's what happens in the school. People are like, oh, now I remember. And then it makes the job to be disciplined, to be healthy, to choose the right foods, to choose to exercise, to choose to say you're sorry, to choose to have your friend, to cry. All those human nature qualities have become my very dear friends. But it wasn't except by getting it wrong. I hate to tell you that. It took me so long to get here.
But I think it speaks volumes when you're in your presence. It speaks volumes. Yeah, it really does. It's an absolute gift.
The vibration that everyone in this room listening to this is listening for is, do I remember who I work for? Am I following through with what I agreed to do? Because if you are, the magic will begin.
And that's Saturn.
Mic drop.
I love your sense of humor. You mentioned before Aquarian. We're moving in this age. Things are shifting rather rapidly underfoot as we are right now. What do you see coming up? The place of astrology in an age of such uncertainty? Like, help?
First of all, AI is coming. Can we just say that out loud? Have you done any research on this?
Significantly, yeah.
So, AI is coming. There's going to be a merging between the human and the AI, and we're hoping there'll be parents in the room to put supervision in place so that they don't hurt us. Because when they figure out what we've done to the planet, it's likely they're going to say, not such a smart species. Having said that, there's a miracle that we can't see, that we don't know what's going to happen. Just like when you watched your wife giving birth and she was screaming and yelling and you thought something was really wrong. And then the miracle came out. So let's do that parallel. I can see in the future enough of you listening who are giving yourself back to the elements, water, air, earth, and fire, back to the stars, back to your heart, back to deep breaths. It's not complicated, you guys. It's a simple, boring life down here if you get the principles of the 4 elements down. And most of all, you have a mind who's innocent enough to say, can you help me? I'm confused. I miss you. I'm lonely. When those honest truths start to come forward and you start writing them and journaling them and sharing them, and you ask and pray and say every day, please let me fulfill my promise. Let me fulfill my promise. Help me remember it. I'm available. Then you watch the miracles start to happen. And that's the future. The future is going to be enough of us who are willing to say, I remember who I work for. But I get a little cautious and skeptical. I start to turn away from Pollyanna and I get worried. And then I take a deep breath and I do my meditation and come back home. It's the only thing I know how to do.
Yeah, it definitely is a very interesting time. I think you've even mentioned it as like we're going through a doorway to the golden age at this particular moment in time.
That's what all the prophecy talked about. From the Mayans to the Nostradamus to the old Jewish Kabbalistic belief system. Everything here is created and destroyed, and we're in a turning point with the Kali Yuga where we're just about to come around a corner and the lights will be out. But first it's got to be the dark. I don't know who made this up. You have to go down to go up. I just want to fly all the time. I don't know. I just follow suit. I'm like, you guys, stop scaring us. Nothing's wrong. I promise you, said the elder. Whatever happens, we're going to be together. And the prayer is that you return to your observer, watching yourself in compassion and saying, wow, I can't believe I'm alive in 2025 inside of a computer, listening with the headset to Amrit and Debra talking over an hour, and I couldn't stop listening. That was so fun.
It's so trippy to feel into the Aquarian energy of just even that, right? Like something that is so non-organic, like someone is watching this over a screen, is actually teaching them and informing them more about themselves organically deep within their insides. Like it is so trippy, right? And it's so Aquarian.
It's so true, and it's so you. And you've come in this particular lifetime to give us your voice and your heart to remind us that there really is a spiritual path inside of a computer. I would never have ever heard of that till I met you guys, all these beautiful podcast hosts that I'm so proud of. I think of my boys and I think, wow, the new generation of men. That's hopeful.
Well, blessed to be guided by individuals such as yourself, to be honest.
Yeah, I broke some ground. You're absolutely right. You're standing on my shoulders looking at the stars.
And it's a great view. It's a great view on and almost the darker the night, the brighter the light. So
let me ask you a question. The darker the night, the brighter the light. What was one of your biggest takeaways from the school that you're going to live with for the rest of this life that you got from taking level 1, 2, and 3? What's some of the things that landed?
I mentioned this slightly earlier. Permission. That golden, big, fat Willy Wonka ticket to just be you. And to your point, it's what I needed, right? Like Taurus rising. Just remember, you don't have to do so much. Slow down, just be. So obviously that's what I'm going to respond with. And even just the awareness that I can be that deeply intimate with the person that I am and be comfortable just speaking about it this way. What the actual? Permission. It's huge. Like everyone, I love personal development. I love self-improvement. It has been an absolute gift. Like, I mean, for those that follow my story know, like I struggled with 6 years worth of depression. Like, you know, a lot shifted. I came face to face with my values and where I was living out of alignment, had to reconstruct and, you know, put my whole life back together. Touch wood. Now, even in there were certain values that luckily with my values, I got very clear on what my core values were. And that was definitely a rudder through all of this. But even then with astrology, as you described, the suns, the planets, the houses, there's like the who, the how and the where, right? It's like all three of those. Yeah. And your values are very, incredibly valuable, touch what I believe, because they give you this clear rudder in terms of like your essence. Yeah, but then where to place all of that essence? I'm still connection, contribution, and celebration. Like those are my core values. That doesn't shift and change. But the amount of tapestry that opens up when you start looking at your astrology, and then I don't want to sound like this, but you know, I've been a Gene Keys guide for 7 years, human design for a very long time, and when you come home to astrology, you start to realize that these are all built on astrology. They're actually all...
Wow, I didn't know you studied the Gene Keys and the Enneagram.
Yes, I'm a guide for So
What are you in the Enneagram? What number?
3.
I can
So-
see that.
You can, yeah. So one of the key things in there is like sitting with it, all of that is like recognizing that, astrology has just been this, a lot of them like Gene Keys, Human Design, they're actually providing a user interface for someone to actually interact with their like astrology with in a more palatable sense, right? But especially as we're moving into this new age of Aquarius and like Aquarian and astrology, like people are becoming more open to just their appetite for astrology. I think you mentioned this in the book, is like people in the 80s or 90s were like discussing like Jungian things, like id, this, that, and the other. And now people like sun, moon, and rising, like the people are actually talking about this a lot more. And so watching all of this come online and our appetite for it, it's been profound for me, just kind of sitting there and going, a couple of these things of like tools like Gene Keys, and that's one of the things I love about Gene Keys, Human Design. There are so many things in personal development that you should be doing, right? Like just the shooting all over yourself. And I mentioned this earlier in the podcast. You should do your breath work, you should meditate, you should this, you should that, you should this, and you should that, and you should like train extra hard, and you should go for runs. And I'm Taurus. A walk works really well for me. I don't need to run.
Oh
I'm
my
good.
God, that was so wonderful.
I'm so good. I'm so good
Permission
walking.
slips brought to you by astrology.
Do you know what I mean? And so that permission piece is just I can't thank you enough. I honestly can't thank, like, you're forever going to be in my heart. I love you. I say I love you, touch wood, and I mean it. And it's incredible. And then watching, and it's not just me, people going through, you can see them going through these transformations and just like, oh, finally, all those extra coats I was wearing, I can drop, and this one's my favorite. And it's like,
that's the
yeah, dog.
sweetest.
Like, it's so incredible to witness. Everybody going through that. It's a real, and this is what I said, it feels a bit like Hogwarts. It's a really special gift. It's a really
Thank
special
you
gift.
so much, Amrit. I'm so thankful that I did not know that history led you to returning to astrology as the source. And we don't speak jargon. We speak English. We don't tell people what they have to do. We just describe what the charts suggest and then get informed by the client of where they're at. And apparently you did an excellent reading. You hit it out of the field. They wrote me, all the teachers wrote me after your level 3. They were like, who is this guy? I said, he's an astrologer in disguise. Get ready. He looks like a podcast host, but he's really an astrologer. So you guys do one-on-ones with him. He will be able to use that medicine to help you see who you are. And of course, we have certified astrologers on my website. There's 25 of them. And if you send me your chart, I will fix you up. But why not work with Amrit when he is so skilled that he hit it out of the park? That's the truth.
I'm shaking as you're saying that. It means so much to me. It means so much to me. You're Thank you. Genuinely. I'm losing my words.
It's okay because we have a soul contract. And so anyone listening to this, you're listening because we had a soul contract. These are not random occurrences. Everybody in the whole room listening right now, you're listening to Amrit because you have a soul contract with him. And this is the process of how we awaken. The conditions of our awakening is community. We are way too much alone in this society. And my school has a wonderful community, and that is the Aquarian age. The Aquarian age is knowing who your people are, and they're always the ones that are open-minded, not the ones that are telling you what to do.
Hey there, Inspired fam. I can't tell you how much it means to be endorsed by Debra Silverman for these readings. It really is such a gift and a blessing and an honor to be your brother, being able to support you with this work. So if you are looking for a reading, as Debra Silverman is recommending, amritsandhu.com/reading. That's amritsandhu.com/reading. I'll put a link in the description in the show notes below. It'll be an absolute honor to support and guide you on your path. I'll see you there. It's incredible, even just watching as you're learning from people. I mean,
Your teachers on level 3.
even Sarah, Tara, like every single person is so unapologetically themselves.
I know, Sarah. I know. I'm in love with all these women. We call it Hotel California. Once you get into this company, you can't get out, but you can in the school. So just come and take level 1, you guys. It's just a 6-week class. There's 10 people in the room. It's very personal. You're studying your chart. It's not generic. It's not theory. It's specific to the moment of your birth and the magical imprint that was brought to you by your higher intelligence that is waiting for you.
I'll put a link to the school in the show notes below for anybody that is keen to dive in. Obviously, I can't advocate it highly enough.
And it only starts twice a year, September and January, so be aware of that.
And it's a bunch of fun. It's a bunch of fun. Debra.
I can't wait to meet you in person. Are we ever going to meet in person?
We are next year. There's things brewing that I'm not sure we're meant to talk about, but yeah, there's
okay, perfect. That's all I need to know, because I definitely need to squeeze you.
Yeah, we I think we could probably mention it a little bit, tease it out a little bit. Inspired Evolution, pulling together Inspired Evolution experiences, and we're looking forward to bringing a retreat to Kauai.
Kauai is the land of plenty and beauty and abundance and the most peaceful elemental space on Earth.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Well, that was your recommendation. So, yeah, really looking forward to pulling together an experience in a space where, people can come along, take a bit of time off, enjoy themselves, connect in person, especially that community element that you mentioned, Inspired Evolution Tribe coming together,
and
me
learn
in
about
person.
the stars.
And then obviously you being there too would be such a gift. And then, myself and just the souls that feel called to be part of the experience. So Inspired Evolution experiences. Obviously, Debra pulled it out of me. I was not meant to mention that until we were ready, but here we are.
I get blamed for everything. I don't mind, really, because my ego is sitting over there in my seat.
Well, it's kind of like Saturn. Saturn gets blamed for everything.
That's true, too. Okay, what a beautiful, beautiful encounter, as always. And you guys, I encourage you to, if it's not my school, at least go read about astrology. There's a lot of free material that I've produced. So the doors are opening. And thank you, Amrit, for being an ambassador for our higher intelligence, learning and growing and continually finding light.
Thank you so much, Debra. Thank you for your time and energy and conversation here today. And just thank you for your entire journey, your walk, the person that you are. I mean it when I say it, you're a fairy godmother. I'm not convinced that when I hang up the call, you don't just disappear into the ether. And then every time I need a podcast, you just rematerialize just
so
to do this.
Sweet.
But I'll prove it when we go on retreat. Actually hug you.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Debra.
You're so welcome.
The reading and Tara's feedback and your feedback has been huge, just to sort of, that was a really great level 3 reading. And it's like, wow, maybe I can do this astrology thing. But like,
maybe Saturn conjunct Uranus. That's your purpose. Saturn's conjunct Uranus, the planet of astrology. I mean, that's what you got to take that into. Rarely do you ever see those two planets at the exact degree, 1 degree apart. It's just really worthy of your attention because it's coloring your purpose this life. They went nuts. They're like, this person was the best reading of all the 10 years we've heard anybody give a level 3 reading. Honest to God, they were out of their minds. So that doesn't mean it's astrology. It means you're brilliant at what you do. It's a Taurus problem with Virgo to feel confident enough to turn up your volume.
You inspired souls, living beings, you made it through to the end of another really incredible episode. Touchwood. It is such an honor to be your brother, walking this path by your incredible side. Thank you so much. You obviously enjoyed this video, so please do give it a thumbs up and a like. It really votes for content like this online to be spread further, wider, and really you're championing this kind of content when you give it a thumbs up and a like. And on that note, I genuinely have to thank all of you that are subscribed to this podcast. Guests like Debra Silverman come on this podcast thanks to your subscription to the channel. Thank you so much for your incredible love and support. None of this would be possible without you. This is a total co-creation, Touchwood. Thank you so much for your love and support. to all of you that haven't yet subscribed, and some of you actually think you are subscribed but aren't. So take a look below. If there's a subscribe button below as I'm saying subscribe, it's lighting up in the colors of the Inspired Evolution. If you can even see that subscribe button, means you haven't yet subscribed. So please do hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification icon, and join the community, join the movement, spreading love, positivity, and wisdom like this around the planet together. Thank you so much in advance. And on the note of community, the Inspired Evolution Circle is where it's all going on. Once a month, guests like Debra come on. We ask them questions directly. Well, you guys ask them questions directly. I just sit back and watch I'm part of the audience at that point. And yeah, we do weekly meditations that I guide. Once a week, there's community sharings as well. There are community offerings that people are sharing, breath work and stuff like this. It is such a live place on the inside. We'd love to welcome you into the inner circle of the community, Inspired Evolution Circle. So if you want to find it, it's inspiredevolution.com/circle. It's inspiredevolution.com/circle. As Debra pointed out in today's conversation, community is such deep medicine, especially for this Aquarian age that we're moving into, where these vices for isolation are increasing. The opportunity for us to connect in the right ways is also incumbent upon us to, take advantage of. So Inspired Evolution Circle, we'd love to see you and share space with you on the inside. So join us, inspiredevolution.com/circle. Meet the guests, meet your tribe, meet yourself. See you on the inside. Now, to keep your inspirations flowing onwards, upwards, and inwards, the next best episode for you to tune into of the Inspired Evolution is on screen. So go on, take your pick and make your click. I will see you in the next one. I'll see you there.